Imagine this. A plane goes down. It's a huge national tragedy, and immediately everyone is demanding answers. The black box is recovered, and then nothing, just silence. Weeks turn into months, and pretty soon the conspiracy theories start flying. What are they hiding? Is this a cover-up? This happens after almost every single major crash, and today we're going to pull back the curtain and find out why the truth from a black box takes so long to come out.
So, here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we have to bust the biggest myth about the black box. Then, we'll look at what's actually inside one. After that, we'll explore the incredible forensic surgery it takes to get the data out, navigate the absolute legal minefield that follows, and finally, we'll map out what a realistic timeline for getting the truth really looks like.
This idea right here, this is the big one. This single thought is pretty much the root of all the confusion, all the frustration, and all the conspiracy theories that bubble up after a crash. So let's just tear this idea apart.
All right, first things first, let's tackle this pen drive myth. This one single wrong assumption is the main reason why the public's timeline and the investigators' reality are just worlds apart.
Okay, so what's really fascinating here is just how different perception is from reality. For starters, they're not black at all. They're painted bright, almost neon orange, so they're easier to spot in a wreck. But, the color isn't the real issue. The real issue is what's inside. There is no video file. It's not a movie you can just double-click and play. What's actually in there is a super complex, raw stream of binary code, just endless zeros and ones that can only be read in a highly specialized, secure lab.
So if it's not a video, what is inside the box? Well, the answer is the first big clue to understanding the delay. Because the black box isn't one thing, it's actually two completely different devices.
The first device is the Flight Data Recorder, the FDR. The best way to think about it is as the plane's brain. It logs everything the aircraft is doing, and I mean everything. We're talking over 1,000 different parameters every single second. The engine temperature, the altitude, the airspeed, the exact angle of the wings, whether the autopilot was on, literally every button the pilot pushed. It is the complete, unfiltered mechanical story of the flight.
And then you have the second part, the cockpit voice recorder, or CVR. If the FDR is the plane's brain, this is its ears. It records the last 2 hours of every single sound inside the cockpit on a continuous loop. This captures that crucial human element. You hear the pilot's conversations, you hear the warning alarms, you hear the roar of the engines, you can even hear the sound of their breathing. It provides all the vital context for the cold, hard numbers you get from the FDR.
So here's the kicker. You've got all this data, but you can't just open it. You need what is basically a three-part key. First, you need special hardware just to physically connect to the memory unit. Second, you need proprietary software from the plane's manufacturer, like Boeing or Airbus, which acts like a secret key that only they have. And third, and this is probably the most important part, you need these things called calibration tables. Think of this as the dictionary or the secret decoder ring that translates that long, meaningless string of zeros and ones into real-world data, telling you if a certain code means altitude or speed or temperature. Okay, but these boxes are built like tanks, right? They're made to survive. Well, yes. But even if the outside looks okay, getting the data out is an incredibly delicate forensic operation, especially when the crash was really violent. And this right here just brilliantly illustrates what investigators are up against. These boxes are engineered to survive an impact of 3,400 Gs of force and temperatures over 1,000 degrees Celsius. Now, to put that into perspective for you, a force of just 15 to 20 Gs can be fatal for a human. They are just unbelievably tough. But even that isn't always enough. A perfect and pretty chilling example of this is the Germanwings Flight 9525 crash. The outer casing of the FDR was found, but the memory chip inside, the actual prize, was gone, ripped out by the force of the impact. It was only found months later by an investigator. Just this tiny little chip, burned and bent, buried in the dirt on the side of a mountain. The tough exterior did its job, but the precious data inside was severely compromised. And that's when the real, painstaking work starts. Technicians have to perform what is essentially forensic surgery. They're working under microscopes, meticulously cleaning and repairing the delicate connections on the memory chip itself. This isn't a simple copy and paste job. It is a slow, methodical reconstruction that can take weeks, sometimes even months, just to safely pull that data off the damaged chip without losing it forever.
But let's imagine the best case scenario. Let's say the tech works perfectly. They get all the data, it's clean, it's clear. The investigation still slams into another massive roadblock, the enormous legal and financial consequences of what that data might reveal.
You see, according to international rules that most countries follow, investigators are not allowed to just release their early findings. And why is that? Because the second they point a finger, boom, the lawsuits begin. If they even hint at pilot error, the pilot's family and their union could sue for defamation. If they suggest a maintenance problem, the airline sues. Suggest a design flaw, the manufacturer sues. There are literally billions of dollars in liability and insurance claims just hanging in the balance. And listen, these are not just some abstract fears. The financial stakes are absolutely astronomical. A perfect example of this is the crash of Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 back in 2019.
When the black box data from that tragic crash was finally analyzed, it confirmed a fatal flaw in the design of the Boeing 737 MAX. And that one single finding led to the immediate grounding of 387 of those planes, all across the entire globe.
And the financial fallout? It was immense. Boeing's stock price just plummeted by 20%, wiping out billions and billions of dollars in value. This single investigation completely reshaped the entire aviation industry. And it just goes to show you how much is riding on getting the final conclusion absolutely, undeniably correct. So when you take all these technical challenges and you add in all of that legal pressure, let's put the pieces together and map out what a realistic timeline for an investigation actually looks like. The first 10 days or so are usually just focused on recovering the box from the site. The next 2 to 4 weeks are spent syncing all the data together from the FDR, the CVR, and the air traffic control records. Now, after about a month or two, a preliminary report might come out, but, and this is the key part, it will only state the basic facts. It will not name a cause. The final, detailed report with the official cause and safety recommendations, you're typically looking at 6 to 12 months, and very often much, much longer. I mean, the report on Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash, for example, took over a year to complete. And we have to remember, that whole timeline we just talked about, that clock only starts after they find the box. And for Air France Flight 447, which crashed deep in the Atlantic Ocean, it took 2 full years of searching the ocean floor with underwater robots at a depth almost as deep as the Titanic, just to find the recorders. This all leads to a really obvious, modern question. In a world of 5G and instant cloud computing, why on earth don't we just stream all this data to the ground in real time and skip this whole painstaking search and recovery process? Well, it's a great question, and the industry has been debating it for years. The pros are obvious, right? Instant data. But the cons? Well, they're massive. The amount of satellite bandwidth you'd need to constantly stream data from thousands of planes in the air at once would be incredibly expensive. And then there's the huge issue of security. If the data can be streamed, it can potentially be hacked, and that would create a whole new terrifying kind of threat. So for now, that physical, ultra-durable, bright orange box remains the most reliable solution we have. So what's the bottom line here? The long, frustrating silence after a plane crash. It's not a cover-up. It's not a conspiracy. It is a highly disciplined, methodical process. It's a system designed to prioritize accuracy above all else. Because in aviation, a wrong answer that comes out quickly is infinitely more dangerous than the right answer that takes time. And this really leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In our world of instant news and 24/7 updates, where we demand answers right now, is this slow, methodical search for the truth a sign of a broken system? Or is it actually the most important safety feature of all, a system built on patience and precision, designed to protect every single one of us the next time?